So if you are confused about your brand and what that actually is and whether or not you need one for your business, don't worry, you are not alone. Building a brand can feel like this really abstract and weird concept that really has no form. But what I will tell you that if you are a solopreneur, if you're an online coach or a health coach, then you absolutely need a brand and you're gonna wanna consider how to actually develop one. Now, developing brand identity is actually step number 1 in my Wealthy Coach framework that teaches coach how to be wealthy and build the business of their dreams. And so in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to start developing your brand in 3 easy steps. And just one quick favor before we move forward, I would love it and so appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell so that you get notified when I post a new video on Thursdays. Do it, please, just do it now. And then we can move forward. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, but wait, Kendra, isn't a brand my colors or my fonts? Isn't my brand my logo? Because if so, I already got one of those and I don't actually need this video. So stop now, hold the fuck up, because that's actually not a brand. A brand is not your favorite colors, it's not your fonts, and it's not your logo. Those are parts of your brand and they represent your brand, but they are not actually your brand. So let's dive in. Your brand is the unique combination of mood, skills, experience, and personality that you bring to the table in your business. It's not just colors and fonts. So in fact, colors, fonts, logo should just be a visual representation of your deeper brand identity. So what you want to do is start with the brand identity and then choose fonts, colors, and logo that reflect the brand identity. Okay, so let's talk about brand identity, right? You may have not considered this before, but your brand is you. It's you. It is you. So if you are a solopreneur or you're selling online coaching services, then your brand is you, your personality, and who you are. So if you are gonna have a strong and concise brand, guess what? You actually have to know who you are. And as odd as it might sound, a lot of people have no idea who they are. And maybe you're feeling this right now, that maybe you're not quite sure who you are. So this is the really cool thing about developing a brand for your company, because you actually learn so much about yourself that maybe you didn't actually know before. Okay, so when it comes to developing brand identity, you wanna start with identifying your core values. You can think of your values as your non-negotiables, things that you would never sacrifice. And if you're not sure about what values represent you, I'm gonna link to a page below that basically lists out hundreds of different values. And I want you to go through that list and choose your top 10. So these would be the most important things to you. So that might look like freedom, adventure, laughter, connection, integrity, honesty, spirituality, whatever it is, you're gonna go through and pick your top 10. And then once you have 10, I want you to actually whittle it down to the most important 5. And really take a look at these, because what you want is your audience to get a really clear idea as to what your values are. So for example, with me, one of my big values is nature and the outdoors. And that's pretty clear to my audience, because if you follow me on Instagram stories or a lot of my social channels, what you will quickly learn is that I live on a house on top of a mountain with no neighbors, and I love to spend my time outdoors in the forest. And when you look at the behind the scenes, you see my Instagram stories, for example, you're gonna see me walking and talking to the camera while I walk in the forest. You're gonna see lots of photos of me biking, canoeing at the beach, in the forest, because that is one of my core values. Now, core values are really important not only for brand representation, but they will actually influence how you make decisions in your business. So for example, one of my core values is freedom. And when I make decisions, I want to make sure that my business decisions are actually lining up with my core values. So if I get presented with an opportunity and I see that as something that's going to reduce my freedom, even if it's a super juicy opportunity, I'm gonna say no because it doesn't line up with freedom, for example. So That's why it's really important to understand what your core values are and always make sure that the decisions in your business line up with them. So early on in my business, I used to say yes to all these opportunities. And what I did was I created a business I did not love and one that took all my time and energy, and I didn't have as much freedom. So it was a very ironic situation because I started a business because I wanted freedom, but ultimately I created a business that took away my freedom. So that's really, really important to understand. So now I only make decisions based off of, do they actually align with what I consider to be my core values? And if you want to pause this video right now, go to the link below this video with the list of values. Feel free to write your 5 values in the comments below, because I would love to know what things are actually important to you. And even if you don't want to pause this video, you probably know right now what is one of your non-negotiables. So if you're a health coach, that actually might be health. That's actually a value that we have in common. I used to be a health coach. I very much value health. So that's actually one of my core values. So if you can think of one of your non-negotiables, quickly type it in the comments and let me know. Okay, the second thing to developing brand identity is knowing your own voice. You don't want to show up online as Wikipedia or a textbook. If I wanted to read a textbook, I would just read a fucking textbook, right? The reason I follow you is because of your unique voice that you bring to the table. So you actually have to show up as you actually speak. So for example, if you were to meet me in person, you would probably realize that I'm very similar to how I show up online. And I speak my content and I share my message in my own voice and not someone else's voice, and not in a voice that I believe other people think I should have. So when I first started my business, I was really concerned with being professional. So I would show up as the professional health coach and I was talking pretty monotone. I was trying to be all professional. And the truth is that's actually not who I am. I'm a little bit rough around the edges. I like to swear. I like to drop F-bombs. If you've been watching my YouTube videos, you've probably heard me say the word fuck a few times. I don't like to censor my words, and I like to just express myself how I see fit. So what was interesting is I kind of felt like I was living this kind of dual personality. I was one person when I was at home with my family, with my friends, and I was another person when I showed up online. So at one point I realized that I needed to just stop the facade and just show up as who I was. And so I started swearing and I started being a little bit rougher around the edges, dropping my sarcastic jokes, being a little bit more blunt, and a little bit more to the point, which is very much my personality. And initially, I actually got a lot of hate for it. And people were really offended that suddenly I was swearing and, that I seemed really kind of harsh, I guess, and blunt. But it's because they were confused, because I'd been showing up as one person and then suddenly I was showing up as who I was, but they didn't understand. I didn't see the connection between the two people. So now I actually receive very little hate because I don't apologize. I am always myself. I show up as who I am. And very quickly, people will realize that either they like me or they don't. And that's a good thing. So they will quickly realize that they're offended by my swear words, or they don't like my jokes, or they don't like my sort of harsh approach, and they'll go find someone else, which is totally fine. I'm not going to be for everyone else, and you are not going to be for everyone else. So if you are confused about your voice, ask your friends and family to describe you in 5 words. So that can be a really cool activity because it will help you determine who you actually are and how you should actually be showing up online. So when you show up on video, for example, you want it to be very conversational and you want it to be you. And it's so much easier to be you than to show up and pretend to be someone that you're not. So learning your own voice and learning how to speak in your own voice is the second most important thing about developing brand identity. Okay, so the third thing you want to consider is the mood of your brand. So think about what mood or feelings do you want your audience to feel when they come into contact with your brand? So for example, let's say you are niching in anxiety and maybe you want people to feel really calm, serene, and grounded. Those are great mood words, but that means you need to show up like that and embody that, right? If you want your audience to feel calm and serene and peaceful, and you're showing up like super high energy and in their face, and you're kind of shouting at the camera, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's going to really conflict with how people are viewing you, because they're not going to feel calm if you're showing up really powerful and strong and in their face and calling them out, when really you want them to feel calm and peaceful, right? So that's something you have to consider. So me personally, I have a very powerful brand. And I am a little bit more in your face, but I want people to feel motivated. I want them to feel powerful. I want them to feel like they got a fire lit under their ass. And I want them to laugh too. I really enjoy a little bit of humor in the way that I show up for my audience. So I want them to feel kind of playful too, and have a few laughs as we talk about things like marketing and branding, right? So it's really important to determine what are the maybe 3 to 4 moods you want your ideal client, your audience to feel when they come into contact with your brand. And then how you show up, your logo, your fonts, your colors should actually represent those moods. So if you have a very soft brand, you're probably not going to go for red and black and bright green and these really strong, powerful kind of in-your-face colors. Maybe you're gonna go for softer colors or more of a pastel color palette. So I hope this all makes sense, but these are the first 3 things that you should consider when developing your brand, okay? And those are, just to summarize, number 1, determining your non-negotiables or your core values in your business. Number 2, learning your own voice and figuring out how to show up on the internet as the same person that you are in your real life. And then number 3, determining the moods of your brand. So the feelings, the experience that you want your audience to feel when they come into contact with you and your brand. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. If you really like the information I'm sharing and you want to get weekly actionable business tips straight to your inbox every Tuesday, please make sure to join my email community, because I will send you a super fun, super actionable, I will make you laugh every single Tuesday into your inbox, and I will link to that below this video. And if you like this video, I would love it if you could let me know by liking it, sharing it with someone who maybe you know it will help, and remember to subscribe to my channel so that you get all the new videos I post on Thursday. All right, so give me a thumbs up emoji if you like this video and you're totally on board. Now go start building your brand.